this is an author at Al Jazeera, which, of course, I'm a huge supporter of. I love Al Jazeera. And they are telling Bill Maher there's no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Now, it happens to be the case that our guest knows a lot about this topic. So please inform us.
I do. Al Jazeera, otherwise known as Allah Akbar, great outlet there. So in any event, yes, so there's a Christian genocide going on in Nigeria, and I sent a letter here just recently, just a few days ago this week, to Secretary of State Marco Rubio to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. It's on my Twitter handle if you want to go look at it. Why is that important? If they're designated a country of particular concern, then they can no longer receive security assistance from the United States, which is a polite way of saying arms sales and training, which is currently underway right now with Nigeria. Now, why are we doing that? Because we want them to go out and fight Boko Haram. So Boko Haram and also IS West Africa. Boko Haram's more associated with like an Al-Qaeda. IS West Africa is more like ISIS. And then you have a third group in there, the Fulani. So I'll kind of go through all of these. But Boko Haram is the prevalent one that's been around for a very long time, IS West Africa. So the Muslim population of Nigeria mostly lives in the northern part of the country. The southern part of the country is where most of the Christians live. It's pretty close split 50-50. Then there's that middle band of the country where most of the killings are taking place. The Fulani are ones that's an ethnic group. Most of them farmers are the ones that are undertaking a lot of this indiscriminate killing. But just to give you a couple of examples have been happening just this year alone, there's been 7,000 Christians murdered. That's 35 a day.
Oh my goodness.
Since 2009, 51,000 have been murdered. And so these folks are obviously Christian martyrs, in my opinion. In my view, they've been martyred for their faith. Amen. And it's a tragedy that's unfolding, and we're not doing anything about it. Now, to go back to that designation, why is that designation not there? President Trump put that designation on them, the country of particular concern, in his first term. And by doing that, it put the squeeze on the Nigerian government, which is run by a Muslim president and vice president right now. It put the squeeze on them to try to quell the killings in that country. And it did start to lessen the murders of Christians in Nigeria. The Biden administration took that designation off.
My goodness.
Why?
They took the designation off, and so I am asking.
He's a devout Catholic, Libby.
Yeah.
Because he is a devout Catholic.
Yeah, speaking as a devout Catholic, I'd like to see that designation put back on. And just to be clear, this Christian population, they're not just Catholics. About a third is Catholic, third is Anglican, third is evangelical. So it kind of spans the gamut there. And this is a genocide that is happening there, and the United States needs to do something to tighten the screws on Nigeria. We have a lot of security assistance going on with them right now, and there's room for us to be able to turn up the volume or turn up the heat on them, so to speak, and hopefully stop this. It's continuing to escalate. They're kidnapping priests and murdering them. There was one they've had 200 priests in the last few years that have been kidnapped. They just had 54 people martyred on Palm Sunday, Ash Wednesday. They kidnapped and murdered a priest. That's just this year alone. And it's going to continue unless we do something. And that's why I'm urging Secretary of State Marco Rubio to redesignate them a country of particular concern. So that's kind of the lay of the land of what's happening there. No one seems to be talking about this.
Why not?
I don't know. And just to flash back to the 90s, I know some of us here remember it, Phil, and myself. We intervened in a conflict in the Balkans because a Muslim minority there was being persecuted and killed. Now, look, I've been to Srebrenica. That was a terrible thing that was happening there at that time. I'm not saying we need to go stick boots on the ground and go intervene in this militarily, but there are a lot of things we can do to Nigeria to stop this from happening, and there's a lot of tools in the toolbox for the administration to stop it.
So why was this not the first thing that Trump did when he got back into office?
Well, I mean, look, there was a lot of things President Trump has been trying to do and accomplishing, right? The one big beautiful bill, all these other things, trying to focus on getting the American people what they voted for, which is to put the American people first, put America first, put the American worker first, and the family first. This is a huge issue. I know it's important to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's something he talked about when he was a senator. Ted Cruz has also a letter in the U.S. Senate that is the same as my letter. Good. He had some other senators join him on that. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to ramp up the pressure in the House and the Senate on the administration to focus on this. Obviously, they're very busy right now trying to negotiate this historic Middle East peace deal that that was just first step of which was just signed. Huge deal. Not taking away from that, but we have tens of thousands of Christians that have been killed in Nigeria since this thing has been going on, and it's got to stop. No more. And look, we've got to stick up for our brothers and sisters in Christ.
Amen.
In this, and it's time for people to stand up, be loud and proud about their faith. We're always looking out for all these other groups around the world. This matters too.
Yeah, it absolutely matters. And I'm embarrassed to say I don't know much about this. It's not something I'm informed on. That's why I'm glad that you're here to talk about this. It's something I certainly want to look into more so that we can talk about this more, because it's horrifying to think that this has been happening for years. It's almost never an issue in the news. Our government rarely talks about it. I'm glad that in Trump's first term, he did something about it. It's unsurprising to me that Joe Biden would undo that. If we're trying to give him some kind of charitable interpretation, or at least saying there was like an economic motivation and not just a sheer hatred for what's true, good, beautiful, and innocent, why would Joe Biden repeal this protection?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure why that happened. Some of it could be speculation here. The Nigerian government is saying everything I'm saying is untrue, right? Like, this is false. It's not true.
Of course they would.
And obviously Al Jazeera is over here running cover for them. And the Democrats could care less about this.
When they were singing "Kill the Boer," there was an Al Jazeera article talking about how like that wasn't. I remember I read this while ago. I'm pretty sure it was Al Jazeera, but there were a lot of articles talking about how like that wasn't genocidal rhetoric. I mean, of course, these people are all carrying water for the radical left, and this is something that comes up a lot because people will say, isn't it so strange that the left has this alliance with radical Islam? Because, you know, Muslims don't approve of homosexuality and they don't like transgenderism, and all the social projects that the left is pushing for are opposed to the values of Islam and the values of Muslims. But we have to realize is this is not some unintentional quirk. The reality is the left emerged on the world stage in the French Revolution with the express purpose of killing Christians. And the only time the left has not done so has been when there were strong enough right-wing movements in the country to prevent it from happening. The left was marginalized to a degree in the United States where they were not capable of carrying out their bloodlust against innocent people. And for a very long time, they were still able to do so by slaughtering millions of completely defenseless, faultless, unborn children. And so people ask, how can the left align themselves with Islam? Because getting Christians killed is the project. That's the whole point. Yeah. Those are their values.
Yeah. And this is why I think they turned a blind eye to this thing. And they just turned the security assistance back on for them. Now, what they'll say is, well, there's non-Christians being killed in this as well. Sure. Yeah. Do terrorist groups kill other people? Sure.
Of course.
Sure they do. But there's a very targeted, systematic effort that's happening over there in Nigeria. It's very clear. I don't think they're kidnapping and murdering priests and thinking that that guy is not a Catholic.
Yes, exactly.
Right? I mean, it's very clear they're wearing a collar, right?
The New York Times doesn't appear to have covered anything about
Nobody
is 2010. That's when they covered it, in 2010.
Yeah, nobody's covering this. I was fortunate enough to be able to speak about it actually on Fox News, Fox Business News. Maria Bartiromo platformed me there a little bit and let me speak about it, which put like the Nigerians over the edge. They're like, it's on Fox. They're all talking about it. And Fox, to their credit, has been speaking about it a little bit. But, this is why platforms like this are so important. I mean, we're talking about, the disinformation of the left and all this other stuff that goes on in this country. Can you imagine if like a podcast like this didn't exist, if platforms like this didn't exist, if, post-millennial, all these things that have come up, we'd still be living in New York Times world.
Yeah,
right?
we wouldn't know that there were so many of us who were eager for truth.
Yes.
In the New York Times, with Walter Durante's reporting was telling us that the Holodomor was no big deal when that was happening. They have a track record of ensuring that this kind of information does not get to the public.
But it's still the paper of record.
Exactly.
And that's why I think
he got a Pulitzer, and it was never revoked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the day, Christianity is growing like wildfire in Africa. And as a Catholic, I can say these people are on fire for their faith. A lot of Catholics now. It's where the church is growing the most is actually in Africa, the Catholic Church. And the interesting thing is obviously the West had gone and evangelized in Africa. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to be in a space here in the future where the Africans are going to start evangelizing in the West.
I agree with you. I think that's absolutely going to happen. They say history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. Something similar happened, during the Dark Ages, because Ireland had been so thoroughly evangelized and it was so far away from the rest of Europe. I mean, it's a little island. You had monks there basically copying over the Western lexicon and making books.
How the Irish saved history.
Exactly. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And they copied down like the Western lexicon. They basically were able to save all of this information. I foresee Africa doing that. If we don't turn our countries around in the West, it is going to be the case that our civilization is going to be preserved by African Catholics.
Well, Africa also, though, Ethiopia is one of the first places where Christianity took root.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, Africa wasn't colonized into Christianity. No, they had Christianity before Europe.
Exactly. Christianity has been in Africa before it was in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Predates it by a mile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, well, listen, it's an important topic. Is there anything else you want to say about it before we move on?
No, I would just, anybody listening, please encourage your members of Congress to send either similar letters, contact my office. Please push on this issue. It is critically important. These are good people that are being slaughtered right now just for their faith, and it's a tragedy. So please reach out to your members, push on them to also urge the administration to help these folks.
Yeah, and of course, if you can, say some prayers for them. Say a rosary for the intention of
yes,
Christians
please pray.
in Nigeria. Please.
Certainly believe in the power of prayer, and yes, pray. Please pray. I know the left laughs at us when we talk about that, but it is very serious.
You know what? They know it's serious, and that's why they put people in prison in places like Australia for praying, or in Europe, Scotland. They'll throw people in prison. Yeah, exactly. They will throw people in prison for praying.
Or that pro-life
They know it works.
guy.
They actually know that it works. Man, it's going to be hard to transition.
That's why they laugh. They laugh because it works, and they're eager to make it look foolish, but it isn't foolish.
It terrifies them.
And after Charlie was killed and everybody went out and started praying, there were no riots. Everyone just got together and literally prayed.
And there was immense power in prayer.
I think.
And the sad part, though, was when they killed those kids, which makes me think of my own kids, at that Catholic school in Minneapolis, and the mayor came out and basically just mocked the idea of praying.
What a garbage person Jacob Frey is.
Horrible.
Yeah.
It's just
terrible.
It's
terrible
actually
person.
disgusting. I mean, that also, it just shows you what a horrible position we're in as a country that did not completely end his political career.
No, yeah, he'll win again.
I mean, how can you even show your face in public ever again after saying something like that?
Well, because he's got the Somali vote locked up there.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have to worry about it.
Man.
He's got the Al-Shabaab vote, so.
Right, there it is.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.